All right, y'all. How y'all doing? We back. Episode 22. My reality. And my reality is my reality. So I'm going to share um, a little bit of my reality. So we're going to go back to 2019 when everything basically changed, which means you don't really know what's going on. And I say you at the time because I didn't know at the time um, but I know now. And I was working, like I told you, I was working for a company. I was already working, driving commercially. We get the call, come in, and they ask. And see, a lot of people really won't tell the truth because they chose to do nothing. But I'm going to walk you through it. And so they call us in there and they ask who would be okay with, working in this, that. We know it's a risk. We're willing to, compensate you guys for that. This is the pitch. And they lay down the criteria. And what people don't understand about that time is there was a lot of rules and a lot of restrictions, even for us, the ones that were working. So we go in there. Some of us choose to work. Some of us choose not to work. Now remember that reality and the expectations. If you got responsibilities of that, not the fact that, now because it's offered to you to actually do nothing, you're like, man, I've been waiting all my life to do nothing. And it didn't make any sense to me. It didn't make any sense at all. And a lot of people that now are in different situations won't explain that to you like that. They'll make you say, oh, they laid them off, they got fired. And yes, that's true. There's a lot of people that happened to that wanted to work, that couldn't work based on the company and all that. I'm not going to get into that. I'm talking strictly my reality, my situation, and what I was dealing with. So I was like, oh no, I'll work. And so I stayed on. And the first couple of weeks or so, it was cool. First couple of weeks or so, it was cool. We was doing it. Real heavy loads because, everybody's at home. And we just doing our thing. What I didn't know is when we came back, they stopped us because sometimes you'd be late. And if people didn't know at that time, they had a curfew at 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock. And so either you had to have your card, and the card had your name, your job, what time you get off, and everything. Because they had checkpoints. See, you guys would notice if you wasn't out there working. And we had to go through that every day. We had to keep our card. We had to take all the little tests they do to continue to work and stay in the movement, the frequency, the currency. And so, and on top of that, we had to wear the mask. See, I had one made, right? Because really, you ain't even supposed to put, anyway. And still, in other countries, they still wear those. The reason why I'm saying this because they'll give you the illusion that everything is okay. And so, curfew 10 o'clock, we got to have our card. And there's a lot of other things. So, after 10 o'clock, they ride down on you. Anybody. And people would know that. They're not going to advertise it on the news. They wasn't going to say nothing. It really was a shutdown. They really didn't want people out after a certain hour. And even though we worked like, oh yeah, we privileged, we could do. No, we couldn't do any of that stuff. We just went to work, do whatever do, and we had to come back. at that time. And so put that into context with that, um, the fact that now 3 years later, they let you move around. It was before that, but really, okay, they say it's back. They say it's back to normal. All right, you do whatever, but it's not because it changed. It changed, and when you ask something, it's not really credible because you can't really get the facts. I was out there. Another thing that they were doing at that time was cleaning up neighborhoods. I mean, dumpsters. Everywhere I went, they were cleaning up people's house. The person that had maybe, and this is no a slight or discount to people that got cats, but I was out there with my own eyes, and I got receipts. Many cats they had to exterminate. I was going by. They had tents over houses and stuff like that. If you were inside, you wouldn't see none of this. And they were doing this for 2 years. And I'm not talking about in one city. I'm talking about every city I delivered to and drove to, because I went to, in the Bay Area mainly, all the cities. And they were doing a cleanup. Seriously. And I'm not talking about little dumpsters. I'm talking about huge dumpsters. Old furniture, whatever it was. And they were doing that for a year and a half. I was out there in that. And I'm going to say another thing. And another thing I was out there in that. And I was saying, man, I'm out here delivering and doing this stuff for the people. These people is crazy. I mean, seriously, I had to, like I told you last week, my nervous system, somebody always shocking, doing something to it, bro. Look, people, human beings, are something else. And not the fact that I was doing this, I was out here on the front line. And I'm not saying everybody. There was a lot of people that was like, hey, appreciate what you were doing, da-da-da, this. Hey, you need some water, stuff like that. There is great people. I'm not saying that. This is to the ones who maybe you was just bored and you decided that it would be better to actually mess with somebody that's helping the community. You got to think about that. People are strange. And so that year and a half, they were doing that. And why? Why you think they were doing that? Because they knew something we did. If this stuff is manifesting somewhere, it may be a system. You understand? Manifest, and then it gets out of control. Then what do they got to do? Oh, it's the smoke screen. It's to confuse you. It's the, hey, here you go. Well, all you got to do is just add that stuff up, and you'll understand that it is not nearly enough to do anything ever, which is why I did this episode, My Reality. And then what is the expectations going into 2025? Also, I'm going to do this once a week. Did you know? Now, I went to about 7 different sources. And this is what they said. Hip hop and rap has made $10 billion annually. So we'll take the $10 billion annually. We'll times it by 30 years, which is $300 billion. We'll take the top rappers in that period and how much money they made, and it doesn't even reach 10 billion. Because I actually rounded it up. So there is $290 billion that was made, because 10 billion a year, and that's an estimated thing. Everywhere I went, that's an estimated thing. So that's $290 billion. Where'd it go? Any institution or genre, any that made that money, you know what they got? Juilliard's, this institutions. Why don't we have those kind of things for gifted kids, artists, creators like me, draw, do all this stuff? Why isn't there these places? And this ain't to your pawns. This is to the people that have the 290 billion. When I actually researched that, I was flabbergasted because where is this stuff? The artists don't do nothing. Y'all that collected this don't do nothing. All we get is bad news. So where's this stuff? We need some schools, institutions, things of that nature, like any other genre, people that make music that make that much money. We should have it. So that's why I'm like, hey, 290 billion, where did it go? This float away. So I don't be impressed by all the little pawns they put in front of me and tell me, no, 290 billion. They don't have it. They out here peddling themselves. They don't have it. So it is a serious situation. Where's the money? So this episode 22, my reality, expectations. And see, the reason I bring this up is because since the onset of COVID-19 pandemic, there has been a significant increase in mental health issues reported globally. Many people have experienced heightened levels of anxiety, depression, and stress due to factors such as isolation, uncertainty, grief from loss, and economic challenges. Survey studies have indicated that the pandemic has exacerbated existing mental health conditions and has led to new ones, particularly among vulnerable populations. Access to mental health services also became a challenge during this time, further impacting overall well-being. And that's the reason why I premised that the when I was working in the pandemic and how it was at that time, and then in a year and a half, how people's mental health diminished. And I know this by how they were treating me, very aggressive. Hey, started being real picky about where I put their stuff. And I started to see the decline. So when I talk about my reality, and this is episode 22, I'm talking about exactly that. And what would your reality be? And going into 2025, because believe it or not, it's all about tech. And so all the old programs that they like to spin, if you're still caught up in it, then you're probably in a different reality. That's why I say my reality. So I appreciate you hanging out. Until next time.